rules to the game, boy. It's rules to the game. Yeah. Rules to the game, boy. It's rules to the game. It's rules to the game, boy. Rules to the game. Yeah.
It's rules to the game.
Good morning. This is Big Dave with the Big Dave Show here in Charlotte, North Carolina. We're going to introduce Sheriff McFadden here in Charlotte.
Good morning.
Yeah, and we got Eva from Winston.
Good morning.
Yeah. Well, it's a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure for you to take time out at your busy schedule because I know you're busy.
Never too busy for the people.
And I love that about you.
Never too busy for the people.
Good. Well, I know you more than just a sheriff, you know what I'm saying? I know you for the people. I know you do a lot for the people, you know what I'm saying? Because I know you from where you've been from and where you're trying to go. So give us a little bit about what all else you do other than sheriffing.
Well, I think that right now the sheriff is the most important part of my life. And I'm a little hoarse because I've been yelling and screaming all night talking to the people. This is the best job I've ever had in my life. It's the second best decision. First best decision is me marrying my wife, but this is the second best decision that I've made. A lot of people know me from the homicide side of the world, you know, having a TV show and all of that. That was good. But changing the culture is where I'm at now. Changing the culture, changing what law enforcement looks like, changing what corrections look like, changing what criminal justice look like. You know, changing the mindset is the battle that me and my brothers have. And I say me and my brothers because it's a few out there that I can trust and depend on to help me change that culture. And they're also sheriffs.
Oh, good.
When we took office in 2018, they dubbed us as the Magnificent Eight. And they put out cartoons, which we love because the cartoons were pretty accurate. You know, like we riding the horses coming in, and we were the bad boys.
Oh, okay.
And so me and this group talk every day.
Good.
By 12 noon, I've talked to two of them. And it's not about politics, and it's not about what people believe is law enforcement. We're talking about how we can change America. It's funny, I talked to a young man yesterday in Winston-Salem Sheriff, Bobby Kimbrough, and he beat me in my head about going to Harvard to study leadership.
Good.
So I finally said, I'm going to. But another sheriff called me this morning and said, hey, I heard that you and Bobby going someplace. And I'm like, yeah, we're going someplace. We're going to Harvard to study leadership for a couple of days. Why didn't y'all invite me? And so he called my executive assistant. He's going. And so my executive assistant know how we roll. And she said, did you call Sheriff Baker in Wake County? I said, no, I didn't. I said, why don't you call him? And so it takes a team that you can trust.
Exactly.
And it takes a team who gets it.
That's right.
Because they bet us out. But if you allow us a chance, we're going to change America.
Good.
And so criminal justice needs to be changed. There is no justice. The sheriff said it. There is no peace. The sheriff has said it with the people. And they have allowed me this opportunity to be the voice of the voiceless. So I know people are saying, well, he ain't talking about himself. Well, I don't need to talk about myself.
Right.
I need to talk about the things that we need to do together to be that person that you talk about me later as a legacy of changing the game.
Okay, that's great. And that's what it's all about, you know what I'm saying? It's rules to the game, you know what I'm saying? It's about learning what rules to abide by to be productive in the community, you know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Everybody has those rules. And speaking about Bobby, I know him real well. We went to school together. We graduated together. He's done a magnificent job.
Unbelievable.
You know what I'm saying? Because, again, he's for the people, too. You know what I'm saying? He's got projects out there. He's working with at-risk kids and stuff like that. And he'll bring some to me, and I, get them in my program. I've been doing this for like 15 years after I was incarcerated for a while, you know what I'm saying? I didn't do nothing real bad, but I was trying to live and make money, you know what I'm saying? So we all make mistakes, you know what I mean? But I learned through those mistakes, you know what I'm saying? And I just believe that God takes us through it to get to it, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm going to caution you there. It wasn't a mistake. It was part of the process.
That's right. That's why I said what I said.
It was a class that you went to.
Yeah, that's right.
See,
exactly.
it's a class that you went to that nobody else have been to, and so you can tell them it wasn't a mistake. It was a step towards where I'm at now.
That's right. That's right. And see, from that experience, you know what I'm saying, I wanted to get deep into the guy's mind, you know what I'm saying? So the first part of my curriculum was life skills, job readiness, anger management, business planning, safety in the facility, and identifying all auto body tools and equipment. I did those classes inside the jail here in Charlotte, and I did it in Winston too, you know what I'm saying? Due to the pandemic, you know what I'm saying, we slowed it down some, so I'm trying to get back in there at some point.
Well, give it to me first. Don't give it to Bobby.
Okay. We'll do that. Yeah, we'll do that. But I commend you with everything you're doing, and you know what I'm saying, I like to learn from you, you know what I'm saying? I like for you to be my mentor too, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I think we mentor each other.
Yeah, definitely.
It's funny to say this, but when I was filing for office, the very first time as the first black sheriff in Mecklenburg County,
right,
people think that should have been a joyous occasion,
right,
which it was for me and my wife and my kids. And people thought that a lot of people were going to surround themselves with me at that moment, but they didn't. And I'll never forget this. A brother calls me up on the phone and said, "Where are you?" I said, "I'm at the election board." He said, I'm coming. And he came and he stood beside me, and I don't have to ask him for permission to call his name. His name is Fred Adams. Fred stood beside me, but he was just as involved, because I still think titles are important, and not even say incarcerated. He was just as involved for 20-some years. We met again in 2014 in a park with what they claimed, which was two gangs that decided to put their differences down, and they invited me to the park. I was the only law enforcement officer out there, and they asked me to put it together, and I thought, this is pretty good.
Right.
But Fred stood beside me. When things going on, Fred is not going to talk about me. He's going to say, call me up and say, "Are you good?" And so when people say, well, sheriff is a little different, I migrate towards people who've been to that school that I don't know about.
Right.
So never believe it's a mistake. It was a school that you went to learn to be a mentor to me. Because I tell people this. Here's what we joke about. A lot of companies and corporations come to me about what they want to do inside my facility. And so think about this. When we buy something from a retailer, the retailer calls you and say, "How was the product?
Right.
Can you scale it from 1 to 10? Give me your feedback." So what happens in changing the culture, I don't ask my executive staff how it is. I don't ask the product designer. I ask the consumer. Okay. So I go inside to the walls of my detention center and ask the residents, "How was that class?" "Sheriff, don't bring that class back."
Right.
"Sheriff, that is great." "Sheriff." So the consumer that I learn from is the people that we commonly call incarcerated, but I call them the residents of my detention center, who are the best teachers for me.
Right.
Now, people think why is he saying that? Because they are the consumer of everything that I do there, so I should ask them.
Right.
What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? And I was telling you this. Yesterday they said he cares more about them than he cares about us. It's not that.
Right.
It is that I'm trying to create better citizens to return to society.
Exactly. And it's about educating them, you know what I'm saying? That's rules to the game again, you know what I'm saying? We have to educate them on how to come out and what's in their mind, so when they do come out, they have the right tools to work towards being successful, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so as far as education, I'm not going educating them. I'm not going to leave Miss Eva out, because she has a very important component that could go with all this, so I'm going to let her speak on that part.
But first, before I say anything, I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I've done a little research on you, so I know just a little bit, and I know Bobby well also. You mentioned something earlier before we got on our air as far as mindset is concerned. And we know citizens, and then we know, on the other hand, our officers. What makes your mindset is entirely different than some others that I've encountered as far as you being an officer of the law. What created that?
It's a lot created that. Me being a homicide detective for 27 years, never losing a case, listening at the stories of what happened. For me, it was not as hard as people believe for me to allow that young man or woman to tell me the story why they committed that crime. But we were only talking about committing that crime in the last 30 minutes. Why did you shoot this person? Well, he did this, he did that. They'll tell me that in about 30 or 40, maybe an hour into the interview. That's the easy part. So let's get what created you to become this person that pulled the trigger. And then once you find that out, that means these are people that the community have failed.
Right.
They have failed them.
Right.
And when they fail them, it is like, wow. So, and I'll tell you a story. And it's a young man and his brother committed a homicide.
Okay.
It was easy for him to say, me and my brother went out there, we had just took a car, and we wrecked the car, so we wanted to get another car. So it's not so much of a carjacking, but it sort of was. And while they were pulling on the handle of the door, the gun went off and killed the lady.
Okay.
That's the easy part. What drove him to trust his brother, who was selling illegal drugs out of a hotel, is this. My mom had 2 or 3 different boyfriends in a year.
Wow.
They treated me like trash.
Okay.
My mother accepted them before they treated me.
Right.
Right. So then my mother chose them. So then when I leave the house, I'm trying to live with my grandmother, but she has been in a car wreck, so she got a little bit of money. So they done moved on the other side of the city, not a mansion, but now they're living in a $200,000 little home, like $199.
Yeah.
Right?
I see.
So she moved over there. So she tells him, hey, I love you, baby, but, can you just catch the bus over here instead of bringing that loud car with all that music? Well, you can't come over here with all your friends. Can you just come by yourself? So he writes mama off. He writes grandmama and granddaddy off. So when his brother gets back home from being incarcerated or justice involved, he says, why are you living so foul? He says, because you know how mom is. And grandmom and granddad and I got a little bit of money, so they don't have nothing to do with me. Right. He says to his brother, come to me and I'll take care of you. That's the bottom line. That's understanding why.
Understanding why.
And so then when you have that, and now I have the ability and the platform, the resources and the money to change it, I have to do that part.
Okay. So you look to, you're not as, you're concerned as far as the person who is committing the crime, but what I'm hearing from you is that you're even more concerned with getting to the root of the problem. Where did this start? How did this start? Why did this start? And if you can get to the root of anything, then you can come up with a plan or a solution. Now, I'm going to say something about being religious but it reminds me of a sermon that I heard years ago. Bishop T.D. Jakes preached it, and he talked about how, as magnificent as Jesus is and was, how that before he spoke or said or did anything, every city, state, town, hamlet, wherever he went, he ate where they ate, he slept where they he sat where they sat, so that he could understand what the people that he hoped to serve and what the people that he hoped to do for, whatever it was that he needed to do, he needed to be relatable to them first. And that's what I hear you saying.
Well, now you have me to the emotional part.
Okay.
Where
we're going to have to cut you guys off and take a break. We got to go pay some bills and everything, but we'll be back. It's very interesting conversation we're having here because I got some more questions.
I'm glad that we stopped because I was about to cry.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to take a break. We'll be back in 10. Thank you.
I get it from him. My brother say anything to anybody at any time. Right? So what you doing today?
But what we're going to do, I gave you guys paintbrushes just in case you want to do it this way. I use this process for therapeutic art. This is all about releasing something that you want to get rid of. You can.
They ain't here.
Oh,
You
no,
can't.
we don't need that.
Emotions.
Oh,
Negative emotions. Not somebody else, but in
Well,
you.
I'm thinking about firing somebody.
Okay. Something that's in you that you need to
Okay.
get rid of.
Okay.
Okay. This is all about self-healing. This is all about, using something that has no negative side effects to heal yourself. A lot of times we turn to things that are actually, self-sabotaging when we need, some release of some sort. So this doesn't have any of those negative side effects, and so you can do it as often as you want,
Perfect.
and you just get some good vibes from it. So if you want to paint something on here like what you're releasing, you can. If you don't have to. You can choose whichever colors resonate with you. What I like to do, and what I encourage you to do, is to associate whatever the emotions you want to replace that negativity with a color. So what do you want to feel, and what does that look like in terms of color?
Purple and gold.
Purple and gold, okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay, purple and gold.
Cute.
Now we can share,
Can I have
so,
the yellow? That may be a little bit better. Yeah.
the yellow, okay.
To get that right.
All right. All right. You can just let me know what colors you want, and I will then tell you what to do with them. Just enough that when you
tell me.
pour that yellow over it, you want it to only go on top of that white. Keeping that positive message in mind the whole time.
Okay.
For me, I personally like to say then that purple with like your crown chakra or like your connect. So then you're gonna take your cup and you're gonna pour it directly in the middle of your tile.
So I need to wipe that off?
Nope, no worries.
Pour directly in the middle.
Yep. Pattern.
Mine is creating something.
And you're just reminding yourself of whatever that positive message is.
That.
That is cotton candy.
It is, isn't it?
Love cotton.
See, there you go. It's probably it shows that. And not lose as much of your design,
Okay, so
and then just let it it's covered. You can tilt it a little to play it and do it again. It will not hurt.
Yeah, Big Dave, we're back. You know what I'm saying? We back here. We had some interesting conversations while we was on break, but we're back now. We're gonna bring that back up. You know what I'm saying? But Sheriff, I want to ask you: do you think mental health has a lot to do with the crimes that's committed in our community?
absolutely. But I want to first ask about this rule to the game thing. Where did this? That might be something we need to talk about because it's rules to everything. So, where did y'all get this rule to the game thing?
Well, it's rules to everything. It's rules to the game. It's rules to the game out there in the streets, and it's rules to the game in politics or what have you. It's laws, you know what I'm saying? It's political laws on everything going on, you know what I'm saying? If you want to be successful, you got to follow the rules, you know what I'm saying, to get to the truth.
Well,
You know what I mean?
the voice on that sounds familiar.
Oh, yeah. Well, that song, we did that song, right?
So we is you?
We is some kids that you know what I'm saying, I started a program in Winston for young kids between the ages of 11 to 16. It's about learning a trade, but at least graduate from high school. So we got a barber shop, we got a hair salon, and we got a music studio. Things that I thought was interesting enough for these kids to want to be involved in. So, you know what I'm saying, I was looking for something that kids that might be interested in gang activity. Everybody wants to be a gangster rapper or whatever. So I told them I could get them in the studio if they could learn how to rap and stuff like that, but we just have to keep it clean, you know what I'm saying? It's rules to Dave's game. We got to keep it clean. And, you know what I'm saying, once they get out there and get the music going, you know what I'm saying, you get signed up, you go do what you want to do. But, you know what I'm saying, there's rules to how Dave is trying to do it. Is trying to get back in the community to give job opportunities. And a hobby could be a job opportunity, you know what I'm saying? is professional rappers, singers out here. You know what I'm saying? They start from somewhere. So I just started wanting to give an opportunity. So I started acting like a kid with them, and I said, well, let's make a song. You know what I'm saying?
That's
so
it.
they came up with it. You know what I mean? And that's my voice in this, and it's rules to the game, boy. And I let them do their little lyrics and stuff. You know what I'm saying? They walk around with the pens and papers and stuff. I got Timmy on board, and he kind of coached them on how to do this music thing. So I really appreciate what Timmy has brought to the game. You know what I'm saying?
So as they say in the street, that's the real connect.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the
it.
real connect.
He the plug. That's the plug. Yeah, that's what it do.
But that's good. So mental health, absolutely on top of my list.
Right.
2 months after I started my career in law enforcement as a sheriff, excuse me, I created what they call the Behavioral Health Unit.
Right.
I'm the only, I think my brother Kimbrough is slipping up on me in Winston. I started the first behavioral health unit inside a detention center.
Okay.
So the first one was for men,
Right.
and I invite all of you all to come and see it. Okay. So I started with the men. In the middle of COVID,
Right.
I created the women's. So I have 2 separate units inside my detention center that take care of the needs of the men on mental health, behavioral health, and women on mental health and behavioral health. And so then while I'm sitting here, as we say, I'm still in the kitchen,
Okay.
still working. People say they're grinding, so I got that going. Okay. So then I looked at the part that relates me back to my homicide years. Are you ready to go to court to defend your life?
Right.
With your lawyer? So now, with the help of North Carolina, we haven't launched it yet. We're in the final stages, but before Christmas, we will have something called capacity restoration. So that means that we're going to make sure that your mind is ready to go to court.
Right.
So it's called capacity restoration. That, people say, well, he's mentally ill. Well, let's find out if he has that problem. Because what happens too, it's helping me because my deputies, which people don't know, that every day, right now, I'm having deputies to take individuals from the county of Mecklenburg, drive them 2 or 3 hours to a facility in the mountains or drive them to a facility on the coast for what they call an IVC,
Right.
involuntary commitment order.
Okay.
Transporting someone who is in a crisis to me is a problem.
Okay.
So why can't I have a bed space here created to take care of those problems before leaving Mecklenburg County? So that's my next project that is off the ground. We have 2 vendors, and what we're doing now is deciding which vendor will be for the best. We already got the funding. We already got the space. We just need somebody to come in and do that work. So it's not like it could happen. Right. It's going to happen. Right. It's just that we're just trying to find the vendor to supply the needs of these residents. So that's where we are with mental health. Okay. But let me tell you something else about mental health that we haven't talked about. Mental health for the average person who has come through COVID
Right.
has affected a lot of people.
Right.
Absolutely.
And let me tell you why. You believe that you know your husband and your wife.
Right.
Because they are both in corporate America.
Right.
But when you put that A personality corporate America husband into a house with that A style corporate wife for 24 hours a day with your believed to be vibrant kids, you learn a lot.
Right. I agree.
Because now you into this 24 hours a day. I can't go out and play golf. I can't go with Susie with the girls' night out and the kids ain't playing soccer. You find out a lot about yourself and your kids. And when that crisis hit, then you said, I need my wife out or I need my husband out.
Right.
And when they're gone, I need medication now.
Yeah,
so that's what we are facing now.
Yeah, I can dig it. But I tell you what I've witnessed, working with these young kids and stuff. Because in Winston, I work with the course. I'm a community service work spot. Within that, when I get a kid in, what I get them to do is write me an essay on what their career goals are, what steps they're going to take to achieve them. And I pretty much stay with them and hold them to it. But what I've noticed is some of the kids that come through that's supposed to be on meds don't take their meds, you know what I'm saying? and the ones when they do take meds, they like zombified, like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to figure out, you know what I'm saying, and it looks like they need to find a balance with the meds that they take. But I also noticed that a lot of these kids that are on the meds are physical kids. As long as they're doing something with their hands, you know what I'm saying, working with a hammer or something like that as far as in auto body, they pretty good with that. That they burning up that energy. Is when they sit down and they can't be still. It's when they get mischievous and want to go out there and do something. You know what I'm saying? But that's my take on that. But you know what I'm saying? I don't want to leave Eva out. She has an important role with what she's doing with this law literacy part. You know what I'm saying? To educate our young kids on the law literacy.
Well, the law literacy program, housed out of Raleigh, North Carolina, is a program. It's a second chance program. A lot of people, and I know that you know this, a lot of people commit crimes and don't understand the punishment behind it.
Right.
With my studies in the law literacy program, one thing that I found that was astonishing is big box stores like Walmart, Target, Sam's, Costco, when they do their reports and check you for your criminal background check, if you've had any type of crime where you were shoplifting, you could have been 10, 11, 12. If you've had any type of crime like that, they will never hire you. So you have a lot of people that have gotten into the system in that capacity, and they don't understand, well, you know, I grabbed that from the store and I ran out and they don't understand the repercussions that they're going to have to go through as life goes on. So now you can't work at Walmart. You know, you may be able to get something somewhere else, but you'd have the education level to get a job somewhere else in corporate America, at a bank or somewhere. So law literacy it's multifaceted. We deal with, they'll be dealing with behavioral health and mental health. And I listened to you when you talk about your years in homicide, and I remember as a child, the first time I heard mention on the news mental health with a person that they were going to incarcerate was Michael Hayes. Do you remember him? And he said, well, he heard the voices and that type of thing. And I remember just even as a child hearing people say, well, he's lying. That's not true. There was nothing wrong with him. He did that because that's what he wanted to do. So I'm glad, I just want to piggyback on that. I'm glad that our law enforcement and other people as well are looking at that as really a big problem, because a lot of times in our community, especially in the African American community, it's something that's kind of brushed under the table. This isn't what's going on, and we label it and name it something that it's not, when all the time this person actually needs help.
Right.
So law literacy, that's one of the first things when you come in and when you get vetted and when we're checking, that's one of the first things. What type of mental health are we dealing with? You know, what have you gone through with? What have you seen? What have you been? Because it's relevant. A lot of times people think, well, they just committed the crime because this is what they wanted to do, or this is, you know, what was popular at the time to run and steal something or grab something. But a lot of times it's deeper than that. So on top of the mental health, dealing with giving them a second chance. You know, do you need to go to jail? Do you know how much it costs? It's what, $32,000 to house an inmate, when you could try to reform this person and make them be a more productive citizen or become a productive citizen, feel good about yourself, and then be able to venture back out here in the world instead of housing you for 2, 3, 4, 5 years and sending you back out into the world the same way you came in, or maybe even worse. So, yeah.
So if someone wants to know a little bit more about that, do you have any contacts or information
My
that you could give?
email is redherring531@gmail.com. That's REDHERRING 531@gmail.com.
Okay, great. Y'all got that. You got that. Okay. Now with me, if you want to get in touch with me, it's Southside Rides More, MOORE @yahoo.com. It's my email. You know what I'm saying? My website is SouthsideRideFoundation.org. Sheriff, you got any?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to connect with the Sheriff's Office website, it is MECK, sheriff.com. You can go to that website, and that'll lead you right to me. If it's a personal issue that you want to deal with and you want me to connect with you personally, It is my last name twice, McFadden at gmail.com. Pretty simple. McFadden, McFadden, McFadden at gmail.com. McFadden at gmail.com.
Yeah, I want to go back and share with the audience, if you don't mind, Sheriff, about the young man you was telling us about. You know what I'm saying? If you want to elaborate on that just a little bit, just to...
Yeah, I mean, we can't... I'm a sheriff because everybody voted for me.
Right.
When I say everybody, I mean not the whole population.
Right.
But I mean, you have people who have millions of dollars.
Right.
People don't have no dollars.
Right.
People who live in $1 million homes, and people have no homes.
Right.
One thing that I tell them, I do get emotional, try not to, that a homeless man voted for me.
Right.
I know he voted for me.
That was a real touching story.
And so,
I like that.
you know, imagine watching a guy living on the streets, but he knows that I'm going to be sworn in.
Right.
He can come to me my sworn in ceremony, and, you know, I don't need to be called sheriff. He knows me as G.
Right.
That's it, Gary.
Yeah.
Because I was 21 yeyears old when they dropped me on the west side of the city with a badge and a gun and said, "This is what you patrol."
Wow.
And those people took care of me.
At 21.
Listen, had the best time. I know that sounds crazy for the culture and an environment that we live in.
Right.
Those people took care of me.
Okay.
I never had to shoot anybody.
Right. Well,
I
things
ate-
was
I ate
different
good,
then.
you know.
I think things was different then as far as people in the community. You know what I'm saying? Where did we turn? Where did it go wrong? You know what I'm saying? Was a lack of parent?
No, it's a lack of respect, and a lot of people created that. And they created to teach you, just like if they target you, well, he ain't doing nothing, he ain't doing nothing. You know, the sheriff is doing this, the sheriff is doing... So then in the mindset, you don't get to know me. I tell everybody this. Before you judge me, have a conversation with me.
Right.
Because you already had the conversation with somebody else.
Right.
Take their perspective and then come and talk to me and see what you get.
Okay.
But here's what I tell people, and I have to tell people often. Do not mistake confidence and arrogance.
Right.
Do not mistake confidence with boldness,
Right.
outspoken, because you don't know where I came from.
Right.
And so until you find that, as they said, don't let the suit fool you, because these hands have worked in fields. I know that sounds crazy. I'm 62 years old.
Right.
But if you go back to where I was raised in South Carolina,
Right.
What part of South Carolina?
it's a place called Sumter.
A place called Sumter.
But it's a little one called Elliott. That's what I love, because that's where the fields that we were once slaves in,
Okay.
we hold the deeds to those lands now.
Wow.
And so
My
that's,
family is from Sumter.
see, you know that.
My family is from Sumter. My great-great-grandfather
Be careful now.
was a stud slave. He was a stud slave, and my great-great-grandmother was Irish.
Be careful.
Absolutely.
We could be cousins.
Be
But I
careful.
love that.
Yeah.
I love that heritage of saying, I come from that. You know, when people say, where are you from? My high school wasn't even 500 kids.
Okay.
But today, I still talk to my first grade class.
Wow.
Because we're connected.
Okay. Okay.
So we never get that far to where we can't reach back. And you could be a doctor, lawyer, surgeon, pilot. But if you came up with us, I'm just Gary.
Okay. Good. So you're saying the people need to know the people?
The people need to know the people. And here's what people say all the time. I can go anywhere in Charlotte, and I don't have an entourage.
Okay.
Or if I'm speaking at the microphone, you'll never see an entourage around me.
Right,
You don't
right.
ever see
I
anybody,
see that.
saying, well, no. I can speak for myself. Now, and that's scary for a lot of people. Well, he's just bold and confident.
Right.
And that's what you have to be.
You have to be.
I have to
I
be a
agree.
leader today. I have pictures now that I could show you all that scares the average black person.
Right.
Because that's a little bit too much. Well, it's not. It's who I am, and this is what you get.
Right.
But I can live that. If I want to walk downtown with a mask on my face that says 846, hold my fist up with a black glove, I should be able to do that.
Right.
If I want to kneel on the square and lead the marches to the square as the sheriff of Mecklenburg County, I should be able to do that.
Absolutely.
And that's what I did.
Okay.
And so then, we can't get too close to him because he's hot.
Okay.
But hot is good.
Yeah, it is.
Hot is good.
This is very interesting.
Hot is good.
Yeah, very, very interesting.
But yeah, I want everybody to connect with the sheriff's office. We have a lot going on that you don't know about. Like I said, mexsheriff.com. Go to the website. If you see something on the website you don't like, now here's what your sheriff did. Everybody don't speak English.
Right.
My website is in 5 different languages.
Saw that, yeah,
Okay.
That's it.
I saw
Well,
So that's beautiful for me.
okay.
Absolutely.
And thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, you guys. We out of time now, and hopefully we could continue this on another time. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully we're gonna be on the Big Dave Show every Wednesday morning at 10. You know what I'm saying? So we're looking forward for the audience. You could come out and sit in and witness what we're doing. But the show is about the community. You know what I'm saying? It's rules to the game. How you gonna get where you need to be successfully if you don't know the rules?
You're in line. If you don't know the rules, the game will get you.
That's right. That's right.
Absolutely.
All right. Peace out. We love you.
Rules to the game, boy. Rules to the game.
Look,